Hi everybody. Um, in the last video we talked about how to find normal distribution areas by hand. Okay, I'm piggybacking on the notes from the last video. Now, although it's not too hard to do this by hand, I would say it's even probably a little bit easier to do this in the calculator. In your notes, this page right here explains how to do this by hand. So you have that reference you can fall back on. In older calculators, you're going to need to type this in like it's showing on the screen. Lower bound, upper bound, the mean, and then the standard deviation. With all the other calculators, it'll actually give you a pop-up menu, but let me show you how this works. Okay, so this is the problem we're looking at. It's the first one we worked in the last video by hand. So we're looking at 65 or less. Okay, 65 or less. The upper bound of this would be 65, and then this goes on forever in the negative direction. Okay, so to find this area, we're going to go to the calculator. And what we're going to do here is under vars, right above there's distribution. And that's what we're looking for, is the normal distribution CDF. So there's my distribution page. If I go down one to normal CDF and hit enter, I'm going to get this page. Okay. And the first thing that we're looking for here is the lower bound. So as I said before, this goes on forever in the negative direction. It doesn't stop right here. Okay, it goes on forever in the negative direction. So the lower bound for this would actually be negative infinity. Now, we don't have a negative infinity on the calculator, so for these problems to represent infinity, we can just put in a bunch of nines. Now, since this is negative infinity, I'm going to go negative 9,999,999. Okay, that's good enough to represent negative infinity. Now, the next thing it's asking you for is the upper bound. So if I go back to my problem here, the lower bound is negative infinity. The upper bound is that 65 that sits right here. Okay, so in the calculator for upper bound, we want to put 65. Now it's asking for the mean and the standard deviation. And if we remember, for every one of these, our mean was 71 and our standard deviation was 4. Okay, so we want to do a mean of 71 and a standard deviation of 4. Go down to paste, hit enter. Okay, now for those of you that don't have this type of calculator, when you type this in, this is what it's going to look like. You'll do normal CDF. There's your lower bound, okay, comma, upper bound, comma, mean, comma, standard deviation. We hit enter, and there's our 0.0668, which is the same thing that we got right here, 0.0668. So as a probability, this is 0.0668. So if it asks what's the probability of landing in this region, that would be 0.0668. If it says what are the percent of days, okay, 6.8% of days. Just move your decimal place 2 places over. Pretty simple. Let's look at the next one. It says what percent of days would have a temperature of 80 degrees or more. Okay. Now, this is the picture that we had for that one. There's your mean of 70. It's actually 71, I believe. Yeah. And the x value in this one's 80, and it's doing or more. Okay, so there's your or more. This little tiny region right here. So, walking them through this before we put it in the calculator, the lower bound here is 80. The upper bound is going to go on in this direction forever, so that would be positive infinity. So if I go to my calculator, again, second distribution, normal CDF, the lower bound in this problem was 80. The upper bound would be positive infinity. So remember, infinity in here, since it's positive, just positive 99999. The mean, still 71. Standard deviation is still 4. Go down to paste, hit enter, and there's your 0.01222. Okay, if I go back to the problem, there's the 0.0122 that we got previously by hand, or 1.2% of days would have a temperature hotter than 80 degrees. Okay. Now, the last problem that we had here was between. It said what percent of days in October would have high temperatures between 68 and 76. This is a picture of what that would look like. So it basically wants to know what's the percent or the of days that would land between these two temperatures. Now, between is really simple on this, more so than the other two, because we have definite bounds. So normal CDF, the lower bound in this one is going to be 68. The upper bound is going to be 76. Those are the two scores that outline the area. So, going to the calculator here, we have 68 and 76. So, the lower bound is 68. The upper bound is 76. The mean and the standard deviation stay the same. And we hit enter again, and there's your 0.6677, which if we look at the notes here, that's what we got, 0.6677 or 66.78%. Okay, pretty simple to do in the calculator. If you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to email me. In the next video, we're going to go over how to find scores that are already associated with areas. In other words, we're going to walk through this, and then I'm going to show you how to do a couple problems from your homework where you actually have to work out a few things by hand. So, everybody have a great day. Hope this helped.